Well, it's Saturday the 5th of November. This is episode 2239 of 301 Permanently Moved Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited by me, at the JMO. Back in episode 2020, The Metaverse as Medium, I said, the web has been a 30-year-long distraction from the business of worlding. That statement has resulted in some productive conversations, and if you follow me on Twitter, you'll have seen that I've been posting slides occasionally from a talk that I'm writing called The Web Was a Side Quest. Anyways, today's episode is an excuse to get some thoughts in order, and I want to talk about the word Metaverse. I know, you're all sick to death of hearing that word already. Facebook's changed its name, Matthew Ball's book is a bestseller, it's a hot buzzword, and you, me, and everyone else is wondering, what the hell is going on? I get it. The truth is, metaverse is a word that means a whole bunch of different things to different people. Instead of talking about the word metaverse, let's pick a different word instead. How about cyberspace? What does cyberspace mean to you? What did it mean to you? And what does it mean to you today? If you're at university in the early aughts and at all interested in art, humanities, and the internet, one of the books that your tutor, at least mine anyway, would have recommended was Hamlet on the Holodeck by Janet H. Murray. Published in 1997, it represents the crystallization of a certain kind of techno-optimism, what the internet could have been. The book's subtitle is The Future of Narrative in Cyberspace. I must admit, 18 years ago, I only skimmed it as an undergrad looking for quotes, but I recently read it cover to cover, and I'm glad I did. The book is terrific. It's alive with possibility. One of the things I realised whilst reading was that the word cyberspace was a useful buzzword, used to describe what people might experience as they moved online in the 1990s. Yes, it had its sci-fi origins, sure, but it became shorthand for something else. There's a documentary about William Gibson from 2000 called No Maps for These Territories, and in it he talks about what cyberspace meant to him back in 1982. All I knew about the word cyberspace when I coined it, he says, was that it seemed like an effective buzzword. It seemed evocative and essentially meaningless. It was suggestive of something, but had no real semantic meaning, even for me, as I saw it emerge on the page. As an aside, No Maps for These Territories features William Gibson, obviously, but also Bruce Sterling, Jack Womack, and bizarrely, Bono and The Edge. Anyways, just as it was for Gibson in 82, cyberspace is also a placeholder in Hamlet on the Holodeck, a placeholder for the internet we could have built. The kind of internet we could still build. Replace cyberspace with the word metaverse throughout the book and it will be just as relevant today. After a decade of Web 2 and platform capitalism, recent events on Twitter have exposed, I think, that deep down we all know the internet could have been so much more, different from what we ended up with. The word metaverse in the last year has come to represent this, being used as a placeholder for this unrealised dream. Web3 and blockchain before it also hyped up words representing a different kind of future. The big problem with the word metaverse, and one of the reasons people have such visceral reactions to it, is its history. Sure, it's been used in the video games industry for decades as a dream, as a goal, but to most, it's a word from a cyberpunk novel published in 1992. Metaverse has 30 years of cultural baggage that's dredged up whenever it gets used. Speaking of baggage, Metaverse is an example of what AI researcher Marvin Minsky would call a suitcase word. A word with so many different meanings packed inside it, it's hard to know what is actually being referred to. A 2017 Technology Review article on the same subject used the word learning as an example. Learning is a powerful suitcase word. It can refer to so many different types of experience. Learning to use chopsticks is a very different experience from learning the tune of a new song. And learning to write code is a very different experience from learning your way around a new city. So metaverse is a suitcase word, Web3 another. Like cyberspace, both are placeholders to allow people to talk about a different kind of internet. Despite Facebook's whole thing, it's interesting to consider where the word has exploded into the public sphere from. The gaming industry. I've talked about the size of online worlds in comparison to social media before, but the reality is the games industry has been connecting millions of people together in code spaces using text, voice, and novel interfaces for far longer than the web has existed. They know a thing or two about this, from social design to the technical, and they have built spaces with completely different context to the huge platforms that we all migrated into away from the web in the 2010s. In the twilight age of Web 2, metaverse is as good a word as any for people who wish to reimagine the future of the internet to use. If you don't like the word metaverse, or what it stands for, or what it means to you, it's not just enough to be against it in 2022, to just have critique and criticism. Instead, we have to be for something, for the web we want, and not the one we don't.